Hi there, Shortcuts. This is video 2 for this first week back since I was in Japan. And this list is reggae, jazz, Brazilian, and other stuff, as you'll see. These will all go on the price list 9 p.m. sharp this Wednesday. And if you want to be on that price list, drop me an email, shortcutsrecordsaus@gmail.com. Okay, let's get started. This is the first record on the list. This is Toots and the Maytals, In the Dark. Our second record on Trojan. A beautiful sleeve with the obi. I was literally dancing in the aisles when I found this in Shinjuku in Tokyo. I've had a copy of this for a long time and I've never been able to find another. And so this is exciting. This record is one of the best I've ever heard. I can only put it that way. Toots and the Maytals. Toots Hibbert, the lead singer, could sing soul, he could sing blues, he could sing gospel. Obviously, he can sing reggae. And he sings all of those at various points on this record. It is magnificent. It followed up their debut album, which was another classic. You got Monkey Man and all sorts on there. But this is deeper, more soulful, more gospel. The recording is better. This says Trojan reggae masterpieces for a reason. This record is an absolute masterpiece. In the Dark, Toots and the Maytals. Now, I love this record just as much. This is another that I've had in my own collection for a really long time. And there are some of you out there who've asked to buy it off me and I've always refused. Well, now I have found another. This is Jorge Ben's Black Samba. Now, Jorge Ben is a legend in Brazil. He started writing songs when he was in his late teens, 20 years of age. Produced many albums. This is a Japan only compilation. At least I can't find any record of it anywhere else that compiles the best of his 70s records. You can see there's no insert because it's all on the back. Some of the hits, when I say hits, but I guess when people think of Jorge Ben, they think of Africa or Brazil, his classic record from the mid-70s. And this has got Taj Mahal and one other track from that record. But it's surrounded with these infectious guitar-driven, groovy rhythmic songs from that period, almost all in Portuguese, of course. But it doesn't matter. This record's just absolutely wonderful. Every single track is great. It's on the Philips label. Again, brilliant record. Wish I had 10 of them to send out, but one of you is going to get it and you're going to be delighted. Third record on the list tonight. Blossom Dearie sings Comden and Green. So Blossom Dearie, by this stage, was already somewhat of a name in jazz circles. On this record, Blossom Dearie on piano, Ray Brown on bass, Kenny Burrell on guitar, and Ed Thigpen on drums. And this followed off the back of Ella Fitzgerald having a couple of really successful records based on standards from songwriting pairs of that era. And Comden and Green were kind of identified, I'm trying to remember the name of the guy who ran the record label. Maybe, was it Robert France? Gary France? Anyway, he put these three together. And if you like Blossom Dearie's airy, melodic piano playing and beautifully interpretive voice, this is a real treat on the Verve label, of course. Now, I've got two records that feature, in one case, two of the greatest trumpeters of all time, but the person I'm talking about is Lee Morgan. We've got Hank Mobley with Donald Byrd and Lee Morgan, and we've got The Raja by Lee Morgan. Both of these are on the Blue Note label. I'm going to start with The Raja. So, I guess it was, I can't remember the exact year, but I'm pretty sure it was in the mid-70s when Lee Morgan was shot dead by a woman at Slugs nightclub on the Lower East Side, I think of New York. And a great talent was brought to an end. And some sessions were discovered in the mid-80s that he'd recorded around the mid-60s with Hank Mobley, Paul Chambers, kind of a number of the crew that are on the Hank Mobley record that I'm about to show you in a second. And they were unearthed. They were all Rudy Van Gelder sessions, and they were released. And the Raja became the most celebrated of all of those. And this is the Japanese press from that time. So the notes on the back describe how creative and just delightfully melodic the songs are, and that's Lee Morgan to a T. This one is maybe more celebrated because this is the Hank Mobley Sextet. And this record is pretty amazing. The Hank Mobley Sextet being Donald Byrd on trumpet, Lee Morgan on trumpet, Hank Mobley on tenor sax, Horace Silver on piano, Paul Chambers on bass, and Charlie Persip on drums. That is like a who's who of legendary players from the time. And this record completely lives up to the hype. Another Rudy Van Gelder recording, this time with the OB, albeit there's a little crease on the OB just there. I just want to highlight to you. Absolutely just a blower's delight, this record. Only 2 tracks per side. My favorite being Barrel of Funk, which opens side 2 and is as much fun as the name suggests. Alright, we've got some soul music next, and this is from the Philadelphia International Soul label. And this is their house band, MFSB. And this was their second record, Universal Love. Our lush, kind of full sounding strings and drama. They were the house band of Philadelphia International Soul for a reason. And I've been looking for this again. I was cock-a-hoot. I think I found this in Kyoto. So yeah, beautiful, beautiful sound for those of you who want to explore. And I got one more jazz record, 2 more jazz records actually, before I kind of have a couple of shortcuts royalty to show you. Now this is arguably one of the more controversial records on the list tonight for a few reasons. This is Eric Dolphy's Last Date. Controversial because arguments really rage on whether this really was Eric Dolphy's last date. What we do know, it was recorded in Holland with 3 other musicians. It's got some really odd tracks on it. The opening track of side 2 Hypo Christ Mutri Fuzz is as mad as the name suggests. But then Eric Dolphy on predominantly in this record bass clarinet, alto saxophone, a little bit of flute, always was pretty wild. Now all that is left of this new unique musician is in memory and fortunately on record. This album ends with Eric's voice sounding incidentally very much like Leroy Jones, saying, "When you hear music, after it's over, it's gone in the air and you can never capture it again." For Eric, this was especially true. He never wanted to play anything exactly as he played it before because he couldn't. His mind was always hearing new ways to play, to sound, to explore. But for us, at least some of Eric's music was not lost in the air. Some of it will last as long as jazz. The music, for example, on this album. Couldn't say it any better. Last Date, Eric Dolphy. And I love the label on this. The label on this is just beautiful. The Limelight label, look at that. Yeah. Now, you do know on Shortcuts, we do like to highlight audiophile pressings where we get discounts or where we've got some special copies. So this is Stan Getz and Bill Evans, previously unreleased recordings. Now, this is on the Acoustic Sounds series, audiophile vinyl reissues from the world's greatest jazz labels, mastered from the original analog tapes and manufactured at QRP, tip-on gatefold sleeves printed on high-grade board. These records are as good as you get in terms of pressings from the modern plants. And Stan Getz and Bill Evans is from the mid-60s, so I think it's actually maybe early 60s, 63. I've got a copy of this. It's super melodic and controlled, everything you might imagine Bill Evans to be, but Stan Getz adds color and fun as he does on tenor sax, Bill Evans on piano. Ron Carter is on bass on side 1, Richard Davis bass is side 2, and the great Eldon Jones on drums. One of the best sounding records I've heard in a really long time. This Acoustic Sound series is pretty special. If you ever hear anything or see anything reasonably priced, this is going to be half the retail price. So yeah, pretty great. Now we got some Shortcuts royalty. Starting with this, probably my favorite jazz record, Jack Johnson by Miles Davis, including an iconic entry by Herbie Hancock. It's just mind-blowing. The Promise, Sade, complete with Obi, and finally, talking about Herbie Hancock's Maiden Voyage on the Blue Note label. All of these will be at extremely sharp pricing for those of you who've never managed to pick up those three. Absolutely wonderful records, as I said. Shortcuts royalty. Well, there you have it. What a list. Oh my gosh. Toots and the Maytals, Jorge Ben, Lee Morgan, Donald Byrd, Hank Mobley, Eric Dolphy, Blossom Dearie, Stan Getz, Bill Evans, Herbie Hancock, Miles Davis. Good Lord. Pick your way through that lot. Would love to hear some feedback on the list, and hoping to hear from some of you before the list goes out, 9 p.m. sharp, Wednesday, Sydney time. All right, good to be back, and as I said, looking forward to talking to some of you soon. Bye.